Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Khadijah Talk. When I was growing up, watching television meant coming home from school, trying to hurry up and complete my homework so that I could watch reruns of That's So Raven, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Kim Possible, and shows like that. Some of you may be more familiar with shows like All in the Family, The Brady Bunch, Three's Company. No matter what the shows were, they were all pretty much family-based and had a clear message at the end of the episode, like always share with your brother, or family should always stick together no matter what. However, now, television shows are slightly different than before. We now live in a world where we don't have to rush home to catch the show because we can just record it and watch them as much as we want later. We also have been introduced to what is known as trash TV. Trash TV is known as shows with little educational content and focused on controversy and confrontation. By that definition alone, I'm sure all of us can name at least one show that fits this description. I can name a few. Shows like Jerry Springer, The Real Housewives, Jersey Shore, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, are some of the popular of the genre. If I ask you to raise your hand if you have watched these shows, most of us would be too embarrassed or too ashamed to admit that we enjoy watching shows where others make complete fools of themselves. We would not want to admit that we enjoy looking at other people's lives and being able to judge them in the comforts of our own homes. There are still a few shows like the ones that we used to watch that had meaning and clear messages that we would take away from the end of the episodes. But now, the popular television shows we watch, messages may not be as clear. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my trash TV. But I have decided to only look at these types of shows through a lens that will not only provide me with entertainment, but will power my brain to think outside of what is simply displayed, but looking for how the show can inspire and empower me in ways that I wasn't before. Today we are going to discuss two popular shows, discuss some of the significant messages that I found, both good and bad, discuss the lens in which I chose to use so that TV is now benefiting me, and at the end, I will invite you to expand your critical vocabulary. Now, when I say critical vocabulary, I mean the essential importance of the shows that we watch. Let's start with a brief description of the two shows that I will talk about: HBO's original series, Insecure, and Spike Lee's She's Gotta Have It. The series Insecure premiered October 2016 as a fictional yet very realistic HBO original series that takes a comedic approach to the lives of main characters Issa Dee and Molly Carter, played by Issa Rae and Yvonne Orji. Both living in the fast-paced city of Los Angeles and graduates of UCLA, the two have managed to become successful in all aspects of their lives except their romantic relationships. The two best friends tackle everyday obstacles faced by Black women in regards to their life and their relationships. The two female protagonists share their life experiences while engaging the audience in some of the cultures of Black women as they try to live healthy lives and deal with social and racial setbacks caused by their attitudes and behaviors of a Black woman. Then we have She's Gotta Have It. The name itself pretty much explains the entire series. Created by Spike Lee and established from the She's Gotta Have It movie of 1986, the series stays true to the original film, yet introduced more modern-day feminist problems as well. The main character of the show, Tracy Camilla Jones, plays Nola Darling, a Brooklyn, New Yorker attracted to the good and three suitors. So, yeah, she basically has three boyfriends who cherish the ground she walks on. In the series, the three men are Greer Childs, a model and narcissistic male, Mars Blackman, the immature boy who's still learning how to be a man, and Jamie Overstreet, the polite professional who seems to have it all put together. Next, I will introduce the perspective in which I decided to watch both of these shows and the theories I use to help me better understand the concept of watching television and expanding my critical analysis. First, Black feminist perspective. Black feminist perspective consists of ideas produced by Black women that clarify a standpoint of and for Black women. The definition assumes that Black women possess a unique standpoint on their experiences and that there will be certain commonalities of perception shared by Black women. I can assume that I am not the only Black woman that share my thoughts and feelings. One role for Black female intellectuals like myself is to produce facts and theories about the Black female experience that will clarify a Black woman's standpoint for Black women. Now, as mass media becomes more and more popular, we have to keep in mind the theories that correlate with the media. One of the oldest media theories is Gerber's cultivation theory, which suggests that exposure to television messages can be an important factor influencing the behaviors of individuals who spend a significant amount of time with the medium. The theory suggests that the impact of television goes to such a length that their worldview and perceptions start reflecting what they repeatedly see and hear on television shows. Now, this is where invitational rhetoric comes into play. Invitational rhetoric values diverse perspectives because it recognizes that every perspective is partial. As a result, we seek multiple perspectives to gain a more comprehensive understanding of an issue or a situation. Invitational rhetoric is a theory of rhetoric developed by Sonia Foss of 1997. Slightly older, yet still relevant. Invitational rhetoric is defined as an invitation to understanding as a means to create a relationship rooted in equality, eminent value, and self-determination. Now, as we start to get into the discussion about the messages of the two television shows, I want you to keep in mind that if you were to watch these shows through a different perspective, you will more than likely get completely different tools of empowerment from the shows. So with that, let me tell you about the themes that I found in both shows that I was able to observe because I expanded my critical vocabulary. Let's start with Insecure. Of the two main characters, this theme correlates with Molly. A respected lawyer, however, is often reminded that she's not as successful as the other people at her job of different ethnicities. Molly's boss wanted her to address the new Black girl that works in the office with Molly. She says that she's not adjusting to the culture of the firm. And now when I say culture, I mean stuffy and boring. Molly vents to her best friend Issa about her anger because she feels that the only reason she's asked to do this is because she's also Black. Seconds before this, Molly's boss reassures her that she is not as talented as she thinks she is. Yet, moments later, wants her to speak to her colleague as if she's the boss. Now, don't get me wrong. The lady that Molly was supposed to talk to is very loud and opinionated, and ends up ultimately getting fired because of her personality and who she is as a person. She was expected to change to fit in, opposed to being accepted for her many achievements. This was important to me. This episode was, of course, supposed to be a comedic approach to the lives of women, but the only thing I could think of was why weren't they defending themselves or asking questions? Molly talked to her friend about the situation, but what about talking to her boss? The employee got fired, but didn't ask any questions about why or the reasoning behind it. Those suppressed feelings empowered me to be more vocal in my professional life when I may feel as if something is just not right. This theme allowed me to think about the situations that I may feel in my own life and persuaded me to open my mouth and ask questions. Speak out. My Black feminist perspective allowed for this form of empowerment from this 20-minute episode that was supposed to only make me laugh. With that, the second theme was insecure black women. In episode 2, Issa and Molly are having dinner at a restaurant. And while Molly is expressing her anger towards herself and the fact that she has tried everything she can to have a proactive relationship with men that she meets, Issa says, "Hey, I think your vagina is broken. I read about it. I think it's sad and it's had enough." Molly resorts to spending the entire day spending money on cosmetic items and servicing her body to repair it for the men who she might date in the future. She changed the way that she looked in order to fit in to the ideas of men that she encounters every day. This made me think, hey, is my vagina broken? I mean, I don't think it is, but the things that I do to my body is usually not for me. But it's so that a man or society can think that I'm beautiful. If it was up to me, I could care less if I had hair up under my arms or a cute pair of underwear. I do it for other people, particularly men. At that moment, I decided that if I continue to conform to what I think men think is beautiful, then I am admitting to my vagina being broken. My feminist thought allowed me to heal myself when I didn't even know that I was broken. In both instances, I was able to look at this show that is supposed to take a comedic approach to the struggles of women and turn it into a moment that was empowering for me. But I could not have done this without expanding my critical vocabulary and finding the essential importance of the episodes. Let's move on to She's Gotta Have It. Yes, this is the show where the lady has 3 boyfriends. While watching the show, I found 3 different things. The first being her love bed. Nola Darling maintains strict rules designed to keep her men from overlapping in her loving bed. For instance, she always encourages safe sex, refuses to go on dates with her partners, never has sex with 2 men in the same day, and requires them to call before coming to her house. Nola's rules are designed to maintain ownership over her body, her time, and her agency. None of the men are content with her polyamorous life, so each of them is pressuring her to be monogamous. But having sex in her bed gives her the opportunity to maintain control of her life. Although the men do not like only being able to have sex in her bed and having to follow all the rules that she set, they follow them because they are afraid to lose her. Nola having sex in only her bed is how she maintained control of her love life. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really relate to having 3 boyfriends at a time. But what I can relate to is wanting to have control of my love life. If Nola Darling can have 3 different men that still wants to be with her, even though they know they aren't the only one, then I deserve at least 1 man that is willing to follow my rules and make me happy. Her love bed didn't inspire me to get my own love bed, but it did inspire me to set rules for what I want in a relationship and to not bend those rules or needs because there is a man out there willing to follow them. At that moment, I knew my worth. Finally, left the man that wasn't no good for me and now have the man of my dreams. Thank you, Nola Darling. Nola's artwork was the second theme I found. Nola's work is as much the series storyline as her sexuality, and the two are bound together throughout the series. Nola is depicted in the series as an up-and-coming artist inspired to paint and draw people in her life, such as her friends, the men she's dating, and even herself at times. In episode 6, Nola is invited to have her artwork showcased in a famous art gallery that her best friend manages. Before the show, she discussed with her therapist that she was nervous about having her work posted in an art gallery where people can walk around and judge her for what she has done. Although the show was a great opportunity that Nola wanted, the struggling artist rather sell her portraits on the street or keep them for herself in fear that in selling them, she would lose part of her identity. For Nola, her artwork was more than just how she paid her bills. Her work was the way that she expresses her emotions and what was going on in her life. Episode 6 exemplifies, for me, not selling yourself short. It empowered me to reconsider all the long hours that I was working at a job that I really didn't want to do, and focus more on what I would truly find the most satisfaction from, which was focusing on school and being my own boss. The fact that she would rather sell her pieces for less money to people who would really enjoy the art inspired me to take a chance in my own professional career and not just look for the job that will give me the most money, but the job that will offer me the most satisfaction. The essential importance of this episode that I continue to take into consideration now is enjoyment, satisfaction, and not selling yourself short. These are the most important things when it comes to my professional career. The last theme I found in the show, She's Gotta Have It, is her little black dress. Nola's little black dress is introduced. She goes shopping with her best friend, tries on outfits, and the last one she puts on is a little black dress. Although the dress was more than she could afford, we just found out that she was a struggling artist, she tells her friend, I cannot explain it, but I need this dress. Men need to grow up, and if they can't handle me in my little black dress, then forget them. Nola goes on dates with all 3 men in her dress. First, suitor number 1 to a fancy restaurant. Co-workers from his job see him with Nola at the restaurant, and instead of introducing her to them as she suggests, he tries to keep her a secret and talks about her dress as if she is a sex object. The next scene shows her going on a date with suitor number 2. As they attempt to enjoy the night going to a concert, suitor number 2, who is usually the most admirable to Nola, also makes her feel like a sex object in her dress. He talks to her as if she has no right to walk around in the New York streets in her little black dress without expecting men to comment or give her unwanted attention. Lastly, Nola visits suitor number 3 at his studio. He loves the dress, the fabric that it's made of, and the way Nola looks in the dress. Initially, she thinks he is the only one that can handle her in her little black dress. But after repeatedly taking pictures of her and not stopping when she asks, she comes to the realization that he does not respect her autonomy at all. All suitors objectified her because of what she was wearing. None of them can handle her dress. The last 2 minutes of the episode, Nola is seen walking home and having a brief conversation with her godmother. Her godmother sees her and says, "You wear that dress. Look for the woman in the dress. Show them what you got." The 20-second conversation she had with her godmother assured her that she was indeed in control of the black dress. That 20-second conversation trumped all of the opinions of the 3 suitors and made Nola feel great and back in control. Her little black dress was the most influential of all the themes discussed today because it showed a woman empowering another woman. You never know what another woman may be going through or feeling that day. A simple smile or a compliment could change the entire course of her day in a positive way. I use this episode to empower myself to empower other women and many others. And that is one of the main reasons why we are here today. Both of these shows were created for entertainment purposes, yet through my Black feminist perspective, I was able to expand my critical vocabulary when it comes to watching shows that may be in the trash TV category. It is important to note, however, that if it was 2 other shows, I could have possibly used a different perspective and other theories to understand the messages and themes within the show. Finding these tools of empowerment will probably not happen the first time you watch a show. However, over time, you will develop a perspective, and that perspective will probably alter the type of shows you watch. The actual perspective that you take when watching your favorite television shows may change depending on the show you are watching at that moment and how far along you are in expanding your critical vocabulary. But that's not the most important part of this. The most important part of this, no matter male, female, black, white, young, or old, is that you are able to expand your mind and think outside of the box of just, oh my gosh, I love this show because I get to judge everyone else's life for a change. But take what you see, analyze it, and determine how that can be beneficial to my life. You've heard today how even the negative messages can be made into learning experiences and empowerment to your real life. I am inviting you to open your mind and no longer take what we see on television at face value, but taking what we need and using it to our advantage. It's inevitable. We are going to watch these type of shows. The great Malcolm X once said, "The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent." And that's power, because they control the minds of the masses. Now, do you want the housewives to control your mind? I didn't think so. Thank you.